Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
So let's say our opening prayer. Let's close our eyes and open our hearts and feel the presence of Jesus here with us. And feeling the words of the songs that God is here with us right now. So we feel his holy presence in this moment, knowing that in this moment, we ask for the presence and the peace of Jesus to be with all of us as we open our hearts to receive the beautiful messages of tonight. And knowing that while many of us may have some stress for these holidays, we know that after the pain, there's always joy, that God is here to relieve, to bring us peace, just like the beautiful song says. So we hold this in our consciousness with gratitude, and we ask for the courage to put into practice what we learn, for we know that the acquisition of knowledge is not enough for our evolution. It takes the time to put into practice what we learn. So we hold ourselves open with that intention as well. So with grateful hearts, we prepare ourselves and ask God to bless this evening for us, and may God bless us all. So it is.
So thank you all for being here tonight. This is a very special topic. It's a beautiful topic, and I am very happy to be able to be talking to you all tonight about family in the spiritual world. So let's just start by, since we are talking about family in the spiritual world, so do we meet with our family and friends once we leave this world, once we arrive? For instance, once we arrive in the spiritual world, do we meet our family and friends? How does that happen? And so according to Allan Kardec in the Gospel According to Spiritism, he said that yes, we meet the souls of our loved ones, but this is not a rule. It depends. It depends on our progress. It depends on several different things. For instance, in this image, you guys can see this image is from the movie in the book Nosso Lar. So let's take the example of André Luiz and his mother. André Luiz, for those who are familiar with this book, when he discarnated, he was in the umbral for some time. And then he was rescued from the umbral and he went to the spiritual colony called Nosso Lar. But his mom, she was a more elevated spirit. She had already, progressed a little bit more than him. So, and in that progress of her, she was already living in a more elevated world. So in this case, in the case of the book, she came, and she would visit André Luiz, once in a while. They would get together, they would, meet each other. But this is what Allan Kardec means when he says it depends on the spiritual progress, because, maybe, we are hoping that once we discarnate, we will meet a dear, family member that has already discarnated. But in the end of the day, we don't know what is their spiritual progress. They might be, in a different spiritual colony than we are. They might be in a more elevated work. So that's why, usually when we talk about things in Spiritism, we like to say that sometimes, we don't have like a rule. It depends on different cases. But then let's talk a little bit about family ties. And the Gospel According to Spiritism brings that there are two types of families. the families with the spiritual ties and families with corporeal ties. Spiritual ties, families with spiritual ties, they are connected by affinity, affinity of soul, connection, a deeper connection. While the corporeal ties, they do not necessarily share the same bonds, the same spiritual bonds, the same affinity. And the gospel also said that in the spiritual world, spirits form groups or families bounding together by affection, sympathy towards each other, and by similar inclinations. So talking a little bit more about these spiritual ties. Allan Kardec says that the real family ties are not those of consanguinity or are not blood related, but those of real affection of the soul. These spirits, they are happy for being together and they seek each other. And it's very interesting, once we start studying Spiritism, that we see that sometimes not necessarily what we call our spiritual family, we might be incarnated together here on earth, but not necessarily it will be your brother, your sister, or your father. Sometimes it's a dear friend. Sometimes, it's this friend, this spiritual friend, this spiritual family of yours might be incarnated here with you, but not necessarily in the same blood-related family that you have right now. Not sure if I'm being clear. I'm trying to express this. It doesn't mean that you will be connected by any type of being a brother, a sister, or someone in your direct family. So one of the most beautiful parts of studying spiritual families is that these spirits, they are together again because of this affinity that they share, but they are also together to help each other. So when things like this that I am commenting happens, spirits incarnating, spirits that have this affinity incarnating together here on earth, they very often come together to help each other. We all know that the divine law, and one of the main laws that we have as spiritual beings is the law of progress. We will keep working in our progress, so hopefully one day we will reach the level of pure spirits. So these spirits that either incarnate together or just they like to be together because they are so alike and because they share this love for each other. One of the reasons that they do this is to help each other. Another thing that is very frequent sometimes we incarnate, and then these spiritual friends that we have, if they are still in the spiritual plan, they will help us. Sometimes they will give us intuition. Sometimes they might be our mentor. So, this connection and this affinity happens very frequently. And as I mentioned, the connection happens by means of thought. So, sometimes they might give us some intuitions, and their purpose is always to help us to progress and to do good things. So since we are talking so much about love and affinity, and then we think about love in the spiritual plan and family ties. So where is love located? In the body or in the eternal soul? And this is one of the things that we really need to explore and really need to go to the real meaning of the word. Sorry. So love is something from our soul. Love, this beautiful sentiment. It's a sentiment that happens between souls. So it doesn't matter if we are incarnated, if we are here on planet Earth, or if we are in the spiritual world. This feeling, this beautiful affinity in between souls, it will still happen in the spiritual plane. So it's not something that only happens here on earth. Once we discarnate, we will still care, we will still have the same affinity and the same good sentiments for those who we care in here. And so since we now understood that love is something that it is from the soul and not from the body, let's talk a little bit about love in the spiritual world. Again, tonight you will see me talking about several examples from the book Nosso Lar, because this book has so many good examples that can help us to better understand and illustrate this. This photo is also from the movie. So in this movie, so this is one of the characters. His name is Luiz, and he is introducing this person who is his fiance to André Luiz. And André, in that moment, he feels a little shocked, because he's like, I don't understand. Do you guys, have like engagement, the same type of rules that we have on Earth? Do you have in here? And what Lysias replied to him, he said, betrothal is far more beautiful in the spiritual world. There are no veils of illusion to obscure our sight. So now let's stop a little bit and let's try to think about, what are the illusions that he is talking about in here. So the illusions are everything that we feel here on earth that might make our judgment cloudy. So like in here, sometimes, we might mistaken love by, the illusions that are generated by beauty, social status, or any other any other factor that is very related to the matter, not necessarily to the beautiful meaning of what is love. So it's very interesting for us to reflect that, that they usually say, the Spiritist authors, they say that, the spiritual world, it's very alike Earth. We are pretty much a copy, like a rough copy, maybe a draft from the spiritual world. So everything that they describe over there, the feelings, even like the gardens and the trees, they say that it's even more beautiful because of that. Because here on Earth, we are very connected to the matter. We are very still connected to the material things. And sometimes, these material things and also just the dense vibrations that we have around us, they might make our judgment a little bit more difficult. So, this is also an invitation for us to look inside ourselves and try to understand, what are the illusions, what are the things that are making our vision or our judgment a little bit more cloudy in here. But then let's keep talking about, relationship in the spiritual plane, and in the case of Lysias and his fiancée. So he then shares with André Luiz that they have incarnated several times together here on Earth, and they had failed several times, especially, and he's very honest and open to say that these failures happen mostly because of him, because of his imprudence and because of his lack of self-control. And then he keeps on saying, there in the Earth's circle, my dear, love is a kind of gold muffled in the rough stones. Men mix so much with needs, desires, and inferior estates that one can rarely distinguish the slag from the precious metal. So this is what I was trying to say in the previous slide when I was talking about illusions. It's that he's very clear in pointing this out in here, that, we have so many other things going on. We have different needs, we have desires, we still have to fight our bad tendencies and our inferior state, that sometimes, we often misjudge love by something else. And it's very interesting also to say, whenever I study Spiritism, I like, to, to reflect, to internalize all the lessons. And it's very interesting to see them together in the spiritual plane. And, Lysias being just so open about his own mistakes, about his, all the issues that he had faced in the past. And then, in this chapter, he keeps going, saying it, even though he knows that in the past he had committed, several issues that have probably hurt his fiance, they are looking forward for the next incarnation here on earth, hoping again that they will be incarnating together, and they will be helping them, each other at this time, to always progress, to always walk, into the path of the inner reformation, of always walking together, trying to be better souls, better beings. Any questions so far? Any contributions? I know that Cara has the little group and they study Nosso Lar a lot. I think they had this lesson last Saturday.
Yes, we did. And I think, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for us to grasp, I think, when we think about life in the spiritual world, is that love is so different from the way that we see love here. Here we love pizza, we love walking, we think we love our spouses, and we really have no idea about love. And the whole lesson for us is to really learn how to love. And this brings a lot for us. So I'm really excited about this talk tonight.
Thank you, Karen. So now let's talk a little bit about spiritual marriage. So in the same way that, Andrea Luiz, he was a little shocked that, the souls, they have engagement and they get married in the spiritual world. So let's talk a little bit about this. So of course, the marriage in the spiritual plane happens between souls, and the affection between them arises and constitutes the true form of love. So as I mentioned before, and I want to reinforce this because this is what is so beautiful about, this true form of love that they are talking in here. The souls, they are together and they are connected to each other because, of course, they have affinity, but the main goal is to help each other to evolve. And, and when I say helping each other, I believe that, next week we will also be talking a little bit about family and different types of weddings, or like marriage here on earth. But we do know that, one of the types of marriage here on earth that we have, that the Spiritism describes to us, it's a marriage in which one soul, which is more elevated, comes to become the spouse of someone who is not as elevated, with the intention of helping this person to progress and, to hold in the hopes that in this time, in this incarnation, this person will be really able to do good and to progress. So this is something so difficult sometimes for us to understand, how someone would make such sacrifice. But if we look this with to this example with the eyes of love, then we can maybe start understanding what is this love that they talk about. What is this souls being together to help each other to evolve means? Because sometimes when we think, oh, they are together to help themselves to evolve, we will think that it's just, by doing easy things, by, just being in the side of each other. But when we say being in the side of one another, we mean sometimes having to come to earth, having to do another incarnation that is more elevated. So really maybe it wasn't in her plan, she didn't need to do this, but she is doing out of love. She's doing because she cares about this other soul. And then in the same book, in this book that we are talking about, Nosso Lar, we do have an example. Andrea Luiz's mom, as I mentioned in the beginning, she is more elevated even than Andrea Luiz. She is already living in a more pure type of world. But her husband, her husband from this previous existence, Andrea's father, he is still in the umbral, and they try to rescue him for several times, and they were unsuccessful on this. So she then volunteers to come once again and incarnate as his wife to help him. And Andrea questioned. He asks her mother, like, but why are you doing this? You are already in a more elevated place. Why are you going back to Earth? Because we know that Earth is a place of trials and expiation. So, we will suffer here in one way or another. And his mom is very clear in saying that she is doing this because it's what his father needs, because she loves him. And out of that love that she feels for him, she is going to come in, in hopes that this time she will be able to help him, to live a better life and to advance. So isn't this beautiful? This, this definition of what is love. And again, let's maybe bring this to inside of ourselves. It might be some concept that is difficult for us to understand, but it's, whenever we talk charity as well, this is a type of charity. This is a moral charity that one spirit is doing for the other out of love. If you guys have any comments, feel free to just unmute yourself and talk. So since we are talking family in the spiritual world, let's talk a little bit about where do these families they live. So this is also again a photo of the Nosso Lar movie. So André is describing that he is going to the house where Lysias and his family lives for the first time. So he says, here at the entrance of a graceful construction surrounded by colorful gardens. Here we are at the entrance of a graceful construction surrounded by colorful gardens. Simple and welcoming environment. The furniture was almost identical to what we have on Earth. So it's very interesting to see how, again, when we talk how Earth is a copy of the spiritual world, maybe not a copy, as I mentioned before, more like a draft. It's so interesting for us to even conceive this idea, right? And while researching more, to be here and talking to you tonight, the spiritist authors, they say that for the spirits that live, at least, we are talking Nosso Lar, maybe more elevated spirits, the more elevated world, less material things are. But they say that, for instance, in this case of Nosso Lar, the things, the material things, they look as solid for the spirits in the way that they are solid for us. So, for instance, they have their houses, they have utensils, they have clothes. In this movie, you can see, in this book, you can see that they even talk about transportation, like trains and things like that. So, it's a very interesting part to talk about. And then, following in this idea of talking about, places in where they live and the constructions in the spiritual plane. So how do they build this? It's just like us, they just, use materials and they will go ahead and build houses. So Allan Kardec, in the Spirit's book, he says that thoughts are for spirits what hands are for men. And he keeps saying that the nature of the substance used for the constructions or creations in the spiritual plan is a creation of thought that acts over the universal fluid. And he also says that the spirit, by its will, acts on the universal fluids, combining and shaping, coloring them according to their will. So let's try, to use an analogy to better understand this. You know how here on Earth, every time that we are planning on building a house, first we will think about the house, and then we will spend some time planning the house. We will probably have, an architect helping us, to do this planning of the house and to really think about it. And then we will have the constructors really, doing the building for us. So the same happens in the spiritual plan. As you will see, as it is saying in here, everything is generated by this first idea, by these mental thoughts that I mentioned here on earth we have when we are planning the house. So, everything is generated by the mental thoughts. And instead of using bricks or wood, the spirits use the universal fluid to be building these constructions. And in the same way that here sometimes we rely on the constructors to be building our house. For instance, I spirit like Andre Luiz. If he were to have a house, he would probably not be able to do all of that, to do this combination or shaping of the universal fluids by himself. So there are spirits that can help. We all know that in Nosso Lar they work, and so there are spirits that would help in this case with such constructions. So I thought it was a very interesting analogy, like just comparing how we also do some sort of planning in here. It is just like we use a different type of material when we are building our own houses.
You know what, and Angie, I think it's interesting, this part, because we tend to read the books, or read what the spirits say about how things are in the spiritual world, and we might think, oh, the things, the houses and the things at the spiritual world is just as it is on earth. And we forget sometimes that actually earth is a copy. What we have here is a copy of what it is we have there, what they have there, because that's where we come from. So our spirits, when we incarnate here, we bring with us those ideas. And a lot of the constructions and the things that we have built up on earth, that we have created here on earth, are kind of brought to us by intuition. Are brought to us, things that we might remember from the spiritual world even, and then we visualize that and we put into action here. And I like that you brought the universal fluid, because there they would get the universal fluid and shape it and put it and build whatever they want to build. In here, it's like you said, we use bricks, we use cement, we use wood, but all the matter that we have here in this planet is also made of the universal fluid. All matter is a different type of condensation and type of rearrangement of the universal fluid molecules itself, which forms matter as we know it. So we're all, it's weird to kind of think like that, but what we learn from studying Spiritism, or what I learned, is that we're all made of the same fluid, and all matter is just like different like
level
arrangements.
level
Yes,
condensation, right?
yes, yeah. So we're all the same in everything here.
And another thing to remember, sometimes we watch the movie and Nosso Lar, and we might think that all those houses came out of nothing, and it actually require a lot of work. The Nosso Lar colony was founded in the 16th century, so 400 or 500 years ago, to be what it is today. So it takes time, it takes effort to build all those constructions and everything.
And I like what you said, because again, while I was studying to be talking here tonight, I also read something that it says that the constructions, and we are going to talk a little bit about property and, you know, how sometimes it can pass from, you know, one family member to the other, but how it does, it's not like in here, because here on earth we have, you know, this fluids, this had fluids around us. So, you know, our houses, they might get old and, you know, they might require some repairs. And over there, it is different. So as Rafael said, the colony started to be built in the 1600s, and some of the constructions are still the same because they are not subject to this aging process that our material things here on earth are. So now that we are talking property, it is very interesting also to see this part that, you know, André Luiz, as I said, his mom was not living in this colony. So he didn't have any like direct relatives that could welcome him in their house. So in this case, Lysias offered, Lysias was a good friend of him. Lysias offered, you know, to receive him in his house while, you know, he could start working and acquiring enough bonus hours, which we are going to talk about right now. So the property in the spiritual world is relative to the acquisition via these working hours that they call bonus hours. It's almost like our salary here on earth. It's the compensation. It's not a paper, it's not money, but it's the compensation that they get for the work that they do towards the others, towards, you know, the community in the colony. So as here the slide says, bonus hours are like coupons we receive for our services. We obtain those through the effort and dedication. All property represent a common good under the control of the ministries. And so it is another parallel that I thought it was very interesting for us to understand is how when we are born here on earth, when we are babies, we are welcomed into a house, the house of our parents, the house of our family, a house which is already established. And once we grow up, we will go and we will, you know, hopefully have our own place. And so when we discriminate, the process is the reverse, right? We are going back. So when we discarnate, we will be welcomed in the house of either our parents, our spiritual family, as we were talking in the beginning of this talk, or just like André Luiz, he was welcomed in the house of his friend, you know, for any time that he needed to stay there. His friend and his family were welcoming him. And then another interesting part, so the house that André Luiz was welcomed, it was the house where Lysias used to live, and he lived in this house with his mom. His mom was preparing to incarnate. His mom was preparing, Lysias' mom, I think her name was Dona Laura, she was preparing to return back to earth and reincarnate, you know, in shortly. So, and then what was going to be of the house? Then the house would go to Lysias. So in the same way that we have, you know, such things here on earth, they also have similar things in the spiritual plane. And as I mentioned, the third thing was about, you know, the property not aging. The houses, like the maintenance that they have to keep. Not only the houses, we also see in the Spiritist literature, for instance, that book Violets on the Window, that they talk about, you know, that they don't need to really shower, that, you know, these spirits, they can make their clothes clean, they can make themselves clean just by, you know, the power of their thoughts, and again, with the manipulation of the universal fluid. Do you want to say anything, Rafael? Okay.
Angiata,
Yes.
when you say that they can make themselves clean or make their clothes, what you're really referring to is their perispirit, right? They can make their perispirit appear to be clean or appear to have clothes, since we're not talking about a physical body. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, their perispirit, but whenever we are talking like the clothes are more a material part of their, as I mentioned before, I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear, but the houses are, they feel material for them in the same way that the clothes that they use feel material, in the same way that the transportation that they use feel material as well. So, if they feel the need of cleaning, if they feel the need of cleaning a house or clothes or something else, they don't really need to go and scrub anything. They can just work on the manipulation of the fluids. They can just, use their thoughts, their mental will, maybe, to make that happen. Anna, do you have anything to add in here? No?
No, that's it. You did it. You said it well.
Right. So we are almost getting to the end of this. So I have a reflection for us, and I also have a little message for us. So the reflection, thinking about now that we are talking about the spiritual colony, we are talking about the spiritual world. So the reflection says, let's not forget that the place where we will go as soon as we leave the physical body will depend on our spiritual condition. So it will depend on our balance. It will depend on our inner peace. It will depend on the practice of charity that we do while we are here on this incarnation. So in short, all the attitudes and the actions that we have in here will give us the merits to hopefully go to a place like this one. So, this week is the week of Thanksgiving. This is a week for us, to be thankful about everything that we have in our life. So, at the same time that we are thankful, let's also, just reflect on ways that we can do better, that maybe a good way to express this gratitude that we have, a good way for us to, to express this gratitude to God, it's definitely by doing charity, by doing good to others. It's the best way that we can use to express how thankful we are for everything that we have. And then finally, since we talked about love and about, this connection in between souls and spiritual families, this carnation only separates momentarily those who love each other. The real affection survives the destruction of the body. So let's also, enjoy this moment and enjoy this holiday with our family to really, strengthen our connections, to really strengthen this love ties that we have with our family. We know it's not always easy, but it's the message that we kept getting in these slides tonight. We are here, souls, they incarnate together to help each other to progress. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. I'm open to any questions you might have, and I hope this topic was as interesting to you as it was to me when I was studying and learning about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. It was very, very nice talking. Thank you very much.
Andy, I have something to say. While you were talking about family and how it is like programmed in the afterlife, and it's all related to love. But then again, we come as a family to be better and to make ourselves better to the world as that we live in. But sometimes you have problematic families and like so much anger inside some families. And when you stop and think about what you just said, even behind that anger and behind that bad feeling, there is love. They came to that family because of love. That was really really nice. Thank you so much for saying that.
And thank you for pointing this out in here. Yeah, you were completely right, right? They come together, you know, we are here together um, to make ourselves better, but sometimes, you know, it is difficult. Sometimes, you know, we all have our own issues. We all have the things, you know, our own things to be, you know, expiating or maybe repairing. I remember a talk. It was here in the center. I don't remember who was the speaker, but we were talking about parenting, and someone said something in the lines that you know how sometimes some parents they have this tendency of trying to make the world perfect for their sons, and we have to understand that every single one of us we have our own things that we have to repair. So you know this is a very very powerful message when you say that you know sometimes some families they have some animosity, sometimes people they hurt each other, but maybe if we try to view in this aspect, if we try to think that you know we are all going through our own things in here, we are all experiencing love, we are experiencing pain, we are being hurt, we are feeling happy and we are feeling sad. You know, I think that this helps us to be a little bit more tolerant. But part of being incarnated on earth is also, you know, to work every single day. It's that up and down, you know. This day you did a great job, and then tomorrow you are going to lose the patience and you are going to yell at someone in your family, and then tomorrow you are like, okay, I'm going to start all over again. It requires a lot of you know trial and error from us, but again, you know, it's an opportunity that we are being given.
Yeah, it is by doing to others, you know, serving, giving, and helping others that we help ourselves, that we evolve, and that we heal ourselves in those feelings, those anger, the everything that is around us. So we are here to evolve, to grow inside ourselves, but it's through loving our neighbor that we do that, that we prove that we're ready to become more elevated.
Yeah, that's why Emmanuel classify our home as our first religious temple, right? This is where we're gonna adjust ourselves with the ones that God um, uh, put put in our side to live together, to live a whole experience, a whole life, decades, to adjust, to love, to learn, to grow. So it's not by chance that uh, Jesus start his journey, his journey among us. I mean, visible to us in Peter's house, right? He didn't start his first job in the temple in a synagogue. He went to Peter's house, and out of that little place, he started his demonstration of his divine nature.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for being here tonight. I know that a lot of people are already in like preparing for the holidays, but thank you for being here. This is a very special week, so it's good that we are also working in our souls, working in our gratitude.
This is my way to prepare for the holiday. Being here.
So now let's prepare for the passes. So if you haven't done yet, just grab a little glass of water, so the water can be blessed and magnetized by these spirits.
Okay, so let's everybody prepare ourselves, closing our eyes, uncrossing the legs, the arms, relaxing in our seat. Try to maintain your spine straight. Take a deep breath. We take a full deep breath now so we can relax a little bit. As we exhale, we let go of all the tension in our shoulders. We start to feel ourselves calmer, connecting with all the good spirits that are with us, our guardian angel, friendly mentor that is here by our side in this moment. Feel the presence of your guardian angel right there with you. Feeling the presence of Jesus there with you, right in front of you. Visualize Jesus entering your house, bringing light, bringing love, ready to embrace you, ready to embrace all of your family members. We ask that this Master bring us light in this moment after we talk about family, after we talk about these beautiful concepts of the family and the spiritual world. May all this understanding about our true origin enter our heart so we can feel more and more that this passage here on earth is very important for us, very important for those that are with us, in our family, in our circle of friends. Understanding that the spiritual world is where we truly are from. That is our house, that is our place of joy. And we want to get back there with so much light, with our light even shining even more than when we got here. So we connect with our mentors in this moment. We're thankful and grateful for receiving this study tonight, for receiving this light and the opportunity to be here and to receive the passes. We'd open up our hearts, we'd open up everything around us. We feel Jesus here with us, and we start to feel a beautiful waterfall of crystalline waters falling over us. Imagine this water falling over you. It's a beautiful, pure, crystalline waterfall of healing waters, washing away anything that does not belong to you in this moment. Washing away all the tiredness, all the anxiety, nervousness, removing all the weight from your shoulders. Imagine it all rolling down with this water, going away, being disconnected from you, any energies, any thoughts, any feelings, any sensations. Just let it all go. Imagine this water being poured down over your entire house. This water is washing down, washing away, cleaning and purifying the whole environment where you are, the outside environment, and also the environment of your heart. Imagine all the sadness going away, being removed, being washed away by this pure, beautiful crystalline waters. Thank you, dear God, for this cleanse. We now proceed to replenish our energies. And with that, we feel Jesus putting his hand on tops of our head. Imagine Jesus with his hands on top of your head, and your head opening up like a flower, and this beautiful golden healing light start to come down and penetrate your whole entire being. It starts to penetrate your head, and then starts to light up your body, lighting up your head, your shoulders, arms, your back, your legs. Every single cell of your body is receiving this beautiful healing light that restores all the energy in our body, restores the energy of your physical body, of your perispiritual body, removing any harmful diseases, putting light into all processes that are going inside of us. This beautiful light of love, Jesus embracing us in this moment. Give to the Master now anything that might be bothering you. Ask for help on any areas that you need in this moment. Asking for this friend, this Master, to help you understand, to help you cope, to help you put action on the areas that you need the most. We visualize in this moment this beautiful light falling over our whole entire house, penetrating every corner, every room of our house. This light healing our family members, our spouses, our children, our pets. Everybody receiving this light now in this moment. Jesus putting his hands on each one of our loved ones. Our house is being surrounded by a bubble of light, of protection, of love. We thank you, dear God, for this blessing, for the passes. We ask that the guardian angels put their hands on our waters and bless our waters for us, putting there anything that we need, everything that our body needs in this moment to restore the proper functioning of our organs, our cells, our body, our thoughts. Thank you, dear God, for the blessings. Thank you for being with us each and every day. And I'll conclude this night, this public meeting, by being thankful and grateful for all the good spirits that involved us, that surrounded us. We open up our hearts now to send a lot of light, a lot of love to all of our loved ones that are discarnated, that are in the spiritual plane, to all of our family, our spiritual family in their spiritual plane. Because these guardian angels, these mentors that are here with us, the spiritual team of lights that involves and surround us, they are our spiritual family as well. So may we send a lot of light, a lot of love, and a lot of gratitude for them, for always helping us, giving us support every single day, every single week that we meet here as well. Stay with us, dear Jesus. Bless our families. Bless our week. Involve us all. And may we be here again next week with a lot of joy in our hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.